How's it, grade 10s? I'm going to go through a manufacturing question for you, just to help give you a bit of clarity about how to answer them. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to do a question together. This is from a year-end exam paper. I got it from testpapers.com. Let's see this one here, share. Okay. So we're going to start right at the top here. It says choose the correct term from those within the brackets. Only write the next term next to the number. So direct labor and direct material used in the factory are equal to the total overhead costs or total prime costs. Direct labor and direct material are your prime costs. Overhead costs are all the other costs. The salary of the factory cleaner is a direct or indirect labor cost. The factory cleaner, that person's work cannot be directly attributable to the creation of the product. So that person's work is indirect. The rental of a building is considered a fixed cost or a variable cost. Well, does rent vary? That is, does it change with the number of units that we produce? It does not, and therefore it is a fixed cost. Dan Melgus manufactures and sells kites for his children. I want to just see if I can get rid of something here. Hold on. There you go. That's better. Remove this as well. I can't. Okay. Dan Melgus manufactures and sells kites for children. The selling price per kite is 155 Rand. Below is a summary of all his costs for October 2019. He manufactured 2,500 kites during October. So, firstly, calculate the direct material cost per kite. Direct material cost. Well, let's go to our information. Here are our direct costs, also called our variable costs per kite. They are these four here. But they asked us to work out the direct materials cost. So we cannot include wages. So we must use just the first three, which are material per kite, wood per kite, line per kite. 25 plus 5 plus 5 is 35 Rand per kite. Then it says total manufacturing overheads. That is all of the other costs outside of the prime costs. That'll be all our indirect costs, all of our fixed costs. So let's go down to our costs for the month. All of these first four are direct costs. We need all the other costs. So here we have salary of the factory foreperson. That is not a direct cost. It is indirect, so it's part of factory overheads. Rent, it is fixed, a fixed cost. It is not variable, so it is part of factory overheads. Water and electricity, it's not quite fixed, but it's certainly not variable. It does not change directly with the number of units produced, so it is a factory overhead cost. And indirect material cost also does not change directly with number of units produced. So it is a factory overhead cost. So these are our four factory overhead costs. And together, 8 plus 2 is 10, 15, 16,000. That's how much it is. Let me check that again. 8,000, 10,500, 15,500, 16,000. Yes. 16,000 Rand is our total manufacturing overheads. So this answer is 16,000. And this one here was 35. I should have put an R in front of 16,000 because it's 16,000 Rand. Number 3, total production cost for October 2019 if 2,500 kites were produced. Total production costs are our total variable costs. So we will take variable cost, which changes per unit produced, and multiply it by the number of units produced, which in this case is 2,500. plus our fixed costs. And so we have already worked out that our fixed costs are 16,000. The variable cost is not 35. 35 is just the direct material cost. The variable costs in total, also called our prime costs, are our direct material and direct labor costs. Now, we worked out that our direct materials costs were 35, right? Here's 35, our direct materials costs. But our direct labor cost is 50. So we must add those together. 35 plus 50 is equal to 85 Rand per unit. That is the variable cost per unit. Variable costs, direct material and direct labor. So we've got 85 Rand multiplied by 2,500 units plus 16,000 Rand of fixed overhead costs, which will equal, let me just open a calculator. So we're doing, what was it? 85 multiplied by 2,500 plus 16,000, and that will give us 228,500. 228,500. That is the total production cost for the month. The total production cost. That is all of our fixed costs plus all of our variable costs. That is the variable cost per unit multiplied by the number of units produced. And all that cost together is our total production cost. What is the unit cost of production? Well, that will be the 228,500 divided by the number of units produced, 2,500, which equals, well, let's work that out, divided by 2,500 is 91 Rand and 40 cents. So let's write here, the unit cost, the total cost of production per unit is 91 Rand and 40 cents. What is the percentage profit that Dan earned per kite during October 2019 if the kites were sold at 155 Rand each? Well, we know that profit, or profit percentage, let's say, percent profit is equal to gross profit divided by cost price times by 100. Therefore, percent profit is equal to gross profit, which is selling price minus cost price, divided by cost price times 100, right? Gross profit is selling price minus cost price. Therefore, percent profit is equal to selling price, 155 Rand per unit, minus cost price, 91 Rand and 40 cents per unit, divided by the cost price of 91 Rand and 40 per unit. So 155 minus 91 Rand and 40 cents. Let's just do that here. 155 minus 91 Rand and 40 cents is 63 Rand 60 cents. So we've got 63 Rand and 60 cents divided by 91 Rand 40 cents times by 100 because we need a percentage. Therefore, the profit percentage is equal to 63.9 divided by 91.4 times by 100 is 69.58. We're going to round up to 69.6%. 69.6%, or you could say 67. Oh, sorry, 67, come on. Or you could say 70%. 69.6% can be rounded up to the nearest percent, which would be 70%. So that's the answer here. The answer would be 70%, or 69.5%. Oh, sorry, 69.6%. Explain the difference between fixed and variable costs. Fixed changes with the number of units. Sorry, fixed costs do not change with number of units produced. For example, insurance on a property. Variable costs do change with number of units produced, such as number of such as raw materials, right? Raw materials, you produce more units, you'll have more raw materials used. You produce fewer units, fewer raw materials. Okay, and I think that's the end of this question. Yes, it is. I hope you found that helpful. If you need to go back to some sections you didn't understand, listen to me talk about it, and then stop the video and think about it, rewind if you need to. And if you can't figure it out, why or how I did something, send me a message and on the WhatsApp group, and I will respond to you. Have a lovely day. Good luck for your exams.